How to be a leader. Swami Vivekananda says, everyone can play the role of a master, but it is very difficult to be a servant. The obverse is tyranny and the reverse slavery. The slave and the tyrant are synonymous. Freedom is the only condition of growth. Take that up, the result is degeneration. Do not try to lead your brethren, but serve them. The brutal mania for leading has sunk many a great ship in the waters of life. Take care of these two things, love of power and jealousy. Cultivate always faith in yourself. Three men cannot act in concert together in India for 5 minutes. Each one struggles for power, and in the long run, the whole organization comes to grief. Lord, when will we learn not to be jealous? The secret of success of the Westerners is the power of organization and combination. That is only possible with mutual trust and cooperation and help. An English friend of mine named General Strong was in India during the Sepoy Mutiny. He used to tell many stories about it. One day, in the course of conversation, I asked him how it was that the Sepoys, who had enough of guns, ammunition, and provisions at their disposal, and were also trained veterans, came to suffer such a defeat. He replied that the leaders among them, instead of advancing forward, only kept shouting from a safe position in the rear, "Fight on, brave lads," and so forth. But unless the commanding officer goes ahead and faces death, the rank and file will never fight with heart. It is the same in every branch. A captain must sacrifice his head, they say. If you can lay down your life for a cause, then only you can be a leader. But we all want to be leaders without making the necessary sacrifice, and the result is zero. Nobody listens to us. What you call majority is mainly composed of fools and men of common intellect. Men who have brains to think for themselves are few everywhere. These few men with brains are the real leaders in everything and in every department of work. The majority are guided by them as with a string, and that is good, for everything goes all right when they follow in the footsteps of these leaders. Those are only fools who think themselves too high to bend their heads to anyone, and they bring on their own ruin by acting on their own judgment. It is absolutely necessary for you, instead of frittering away your energy and often talking of idle nonsense, to learn from the Englishman the idea of prompt obedience to leaders, the absence of jealousy, the indomitable perseverance, and the undying faith in himself. As soon as he selects a leader for a work, the Englishman sticks to him through thick and thin and obeys him. Here in India, everybody wants to become a leader, and there is nobody to obey. Everyone should learn to obey before he can command. There is no end to our jealousies, and the more important the Hindu, the more jealous he is. Until this absence of jealousy and obedience to leaders are learnt by the Hindu, there will be no power of organization. We shall have to remain the hopelessly confused mob that we are now, hopping and doing nothing. India has to learn from Europe the conquest of external nature, and Europe has to learn from India the conquest of internal nature. Then there will be neither Hindus nor Europeans. There will be the ideal humanity which has conquered both the natures, the external and the internal. We have developed one phase of humanity and they another. It is the union of the two that is wanted. The majority of sects will be transient and last only as bubbles because the leaders are not usually men of character. perfect love, the heart never reacting. This is what builds character. It is hard work to be a leader. One must crush all one's own self under the feet of the community. Take care how you trample on the least rights of others. Many a huge ship has foundered in that hill pool. Everybody wants to be a leader, but it is the failure to grasp that he is born that causes all this mischief. In our families, there are the heads. Some of them are successful, others are not. Why? We complain of others in our failures. The moment I am unsuccessful, I say, so and so is the cause of the failure. In failure, one does not like to confess one's own faults and weaknesses. Each person tries to hold himself faultless and lay the blame upon somebody or something else, or even on bad luck. When heads of families fail, they should ask themselves why it is that some persons manage a family so well and others do not. Then you will find that the difference is owing to the man, his presence, his personality. Coming to great leaders of mankind, we always find that it was the personality of the man that counted. No power in the universe can withhold from anyone anything he really deserves. Great things are done only by great sacrifices. Can a leader be made? A leader is born, and it is a very difficult task to take on the role of a leader. One must be a servant of servants and must accommodate 1,000 minds. There must not be a shade of jealousy or selfishness. Then you are a leader. First, by birth, and secondly, unselfish. That is a leader. It is absolutely necessary to the work that I should have the enthusiastic love of as many as possible, while I myself remain entirely impersonal. Otherwise, jealousy and quarrels would break up everything. A leader must be impersonal. I do not mean that one should be a brute, making use of the devotion of others for his own ends, and laughing in his sleep meanwhile. What I mean is, what I am, intensely personal in my love, but having the power to pluck out my own heart with my own hand, if it becomes necessary, for the good of many, for the welfare of many, as Buddha said. Nobody will come to help you if you put yourself forward as a leader. Kill self first if you want to succeed. There is no allegiance possible where there is no character in the leader, and perfect purity ensures the most lasting allegiance and confidence. Some people do the best work when led. Not everyone is born to lead. The best leader, however, is one who leads like the baby. The baby, though apparently depending on everyone, is the king of the household. He who is the servant of all is their true master. He never becomes a leader in whose love there is a consideration of high or low. He whose love knows no end and never stops to consider high or low has the whole world lying at his feet. Combine seriousness with childlike naivete. Live in harmony with all. Give up all idea of egoism and entertain no sectarian views. Jealousy is the central vice of every enslaved race, and it is jealousy and the want of combination which causes and perpetuates slavery. Organization is power, and the secret of it is obedience. Do you know the least show of leading destroys everything by rousing jealousy? Be positive. Do not criticize others. Give your message. Teach what you have to teach. And there stop. The Lord knows the rest. Use agreeable and wholesome language towards even the greatest enemy. Know that talking ill of others in private is a sin. You must wholly avoid it. Cultivate the virtue of obedience, but you must not sacrifice your own faith. No centralization is possible unless there is obedience to superiors. No great work can be done without this centralization of individual forces. It is criticizing each other that is at the root of all mischief. That is the chief factor in breaking down of organizations. Tale-bearing, cavilling, or reporting scandals about others should be altogether eschewed. Give up jealousy and conceit. Learn to work unitedly for others. Be the servant while leading. Be unselfish and never listen to one friend in private accusing another. Do not look on the faults of other. You cannot judge a man by his faults. Do not recognize wickedness in others. Wickedness is ignorance, weakness. It is very easy to search for faults, but the characteristic of a saint lies in looking for merits. Try to love anybody and everybody. Be a man and try to make those immediately under your care brave, moral, and sympathizing. Do not pity anyone. Look upon all as your equals. Cleanse yourself of the primal sin of inequality. We are all equal and must not think I am good and you are bad, and I am trying to reclaim you. Our best work is done, our greatest influence is exerted when we are without thought of self. Duty is seldom sweet. It is only when love greases its wheels that it runs smoothly. Duty is sweet only through love. Each work has to pass through these stages: ridicule, opposition, and then acceptance. Those institutions should be encouraged by which men advance in the path of freedom. Whatever others think or do, lower not your standard of purity, morality, and love of God. Men are more valuable than all the wealth of the world. Kindness and love can buy you the whole world. Lectures and books and philosophy all stand lower than these. One of the greatest lessons I have learned in my life is to pay as much attention to the means of work as to its end. I have been always learning great lessons from that one principle, and it appears to be that all the secret of success is there, to pay as much attention to the means as to the end. Just as in the case of electricity, the modern theory is that the power leaves the dynamo and completes the cycle back to the dynamo. So with hate and love, they must come back to the source. Therefore, do not hate anybody, because that hatred which comes out from you must in the long run come back to you. If you love, that love will come back to you, completing the circle. It is as certain as can be that every bit of hatred that goes out of the heart of a man comes back to him in full force. Nothing can stop it. Similarly, every impulse of love comes back to him. Obedience, readiness, and love for the cause. If you have these three, nothing can hold you back. You must have strict morality. Deviate an inch from this, and you are gone forever.